Hey folks, Steve here with you once again. Today we're going to do something really cool. We are going to make a lighted acrylic sign. You can do these out of glass as well. Um, and the one I'm about to show you is made out of glass, but for purposes today we're going to make it out of acrylic. So I'm going to show it to you real quick. It's there it is. This is just sorry about the fingerprints on it. This is a glass cutting board from Dollar Tree, so you can do it with that. We made the base out of birch from Home Depot, but today we're going to use acrylic for this. 1/8 inch acrylic. You could use a 1/4 inch acrylic. You could whatever you want, as long as it's clear, I guess. But you can see it's got my logo, my name, and then subscribe. This one's not completely finished. The lights weren't working. Luckily, I made the slot wide enough so that I can take the lights in and out. So if you see light behind here, that's why. But anyway, we're going to work on that today. They do have remote controls. They work pretty good. This is off, on, white light, blue light, green light, red light, and then they fade in and out. They do things like that. They'll strobe, things like that. So you get a remote with these. You get the light, you get the acrylic stand, and all that. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's get this one off and out of our way so that we're not. Oh, they have an on and off button too. So get it off and out of our way so we don't have to worry about it being in the way. And we're going to start talking about how to make one of these. Pretty simple. Well, not really. They're not that complicated, but they're not super simple either. So take a few steps. If you like what you see today, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. We enjoy hearing from you, so make sure that you leave us a comment down below. Also, if you're in the market for a Glowforge, make sure you hit that little link down there as our affiliate link. You can save up to $500 depending on the model you get, and we'll make some money too. So we are going to go over to app.glowforge.com. And we are going to make some things. You can see up here, I'm going to make a sign for my friend Scott, who is the Bearded Picker on YouTube. Look him up. And here's the stand for it. So we're going to actually get you our mouse on. I've already done all this stuff, but I still will walk you through how to do it. We're going to do the stand first, and you can see we got our birch in there. This is 1/4 inch birch. You could use 1/8 inch. You can use whatever you want. But right now we are using 1/4 inch birch. And you can see these are basic shapes. I'll pull them over into the black a little bit so you guys can see what they are. They're just squares with rounded edges and lines. I don't know if that's any easier. Anyway, that's what we got. Squares without rounded edges and lines. And how did I make that? Well, I did it all right here in the Glowforge software. You can do this in Inkscape or Adobe or whatever your program of choice is. I actually used Inkscape and this, but I used this first, and this is how I did it. I went up here to the shape, I clicked on the shape, I made a square. Then I went down here to the ruler, and I made the square whatever length I wanted. I think these are 10 by 2. Unclick the link in between them, because if you go 10 one way, it'll go 10 the other way. So we're going to go 10. And we're going to go over here, and we're going to go 2. So 10 inches by 2 inches. That's just what I came up with. You'll see it has square edges here. And the way to fix that is really easy, actually. You just go over here. And we're going to do ours at 0.0 or 0.5. And that rounds your edges right there for you. I know it might be a little hard to see, but it does round the edges. The bigger this number, the rounder the edges will be. So, or the smaller the edges will be. I like the 0.5, but if you went if you went to 1, for example, it would look like that, way more rounded. So, but we like 0.5, so that's where we're going to leave it. And I'll show you how to put the slot in the middle too. It's basically the same procedure. We want 0.5 there. So we're going to pull this over here so you can see it. Hopefully, let me move me so you can see behind me. There we go. So then we just go back up to the square again. And I know that my slot needs to be 0.22 to fit the acrylic that I'm using. Yours may vary. So we want the length. We're doing a 7 3/4 inch sign today. That's about the size of that cutting board, so that we want to duplicate it on our acrylic. So we're going to do 8 inches the one way. Just gives us a little extra room, and then 0.22 for our height. And yours will vary. And then you just stick that in the middle as close as you can. This is where Inkscape comes in handy. I then go up here and I go down to export design, and I'll export that and then take it into Inkscape, where I'll make these so they're definitely centered in between, because you don't want them to be different. They'll be different if not. So then to make multiples, then I will just, after I import it back in, I'll just copy and then paste. And then I can make as many of those as I want. On this one, you'll see that I have one blank one, one with a bigger slot. That's for your light strip. So you got to measure your light strip, and that one extends beyond the actual square, because you need that so you can have your power cord coming out. There's a blank one for the bottom, and then I have 3. Yours may vary depending on the thickness of your wood, how deep you need that to be. We're going to get rid of these 2, and we're going to set our focus if we haven't already. I don't think we have. And we're going to go ahead and cut these out. To get your width on these, it may take you some time. I did samples and then took the actual piece of acrylic and put it in there. That's because you have a kerf. And a kerf is just the width of your laser, and the laser cut just like a saw blade, the width of the saw blade. Well, your laser has a width as well. So you'll need to figure out that. Well, for me, I just did it on a bunch of scrap pieces and cut a shape out that was this width, and then seeing if the acrylic fit in there. And I had to peel the paper on the acrylic back to get it, to make sure I was right. And I wanted a real nice tight fit. This particular one that I just showed you is a little bit loose, and I didn't like that, so I wanted a nice tighter fit. It's a little bit of trial and error, but you can do it. All right, so that's it. We are focused. We're going to move we're just going to grab it all. If it'll let me, there we go. Grab it all. It didn't grab. Yeah, it did. I'm just going to make sure. I'm going to make sure this is grouped, because we're good. If I group it, then now it all moves together no matter what I do until I ungroup it again. We are going to put it down as far as we can, and I see the wood's not in far enough, but that's okay. This is just the cheap stuff you get at Lowe's. So, and for making a base, I'd rather use my cheap stuff than the finished Baltic birch and stuff. You could do the top layer in a nicer one, or you could sand it, or whatever you want to do. So we're going to go ahead and get this one ready. I'm going to make sure my camera's on over there. It is not. So we will take a short break and figure out the camera situation. All right, little tiny amount of technical difficulty, but that's okay. I just didn't have the other camera hooked up. And I wanted to make sure that I was doing it correctly. So we're going to go over here and hit the print button. Let's see how long this one's going to take. Shouldn't take very long to cut this out. 6 minutes, 7 seconds. Now the reason is because I have this on slow and I want to make sure everything gets cut out. It's 1/4 inch material. So I could probably speed it up a little bit, but to make sure it's right, I want to be on a slower speed. Slower the speed, the slower it cuts. The faster the speed, the faster it cuts. And if you cut too fast, you got to have a good power speed ratio. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and switch over to the other camera. We're going to hit the button. Show you the button. We're going to hit the button, and we're going to go ahead and cut. Got to turn my fan on. Fan is on. right, that appears to be done. What I didn't mention about that bottom one is it's got the wider, wider slot, but it's also a longer slot. I made it 10 inches. That way it covers the entire, once I put the lights in there, it covers the entire piece. So we're going to go get that out of there. It's cooled down now. It's ready to go. All right. So the pieces are out, and this is what you have. You have 3 of the slotted pieces, one of the bigger slotted pieces, and then a bottom piece. So they will just stack together just like that, and it'll be really easy to glue these together. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to glue them together, and then we'll go back over to the Glowforge, and we'll cut our acrylic. So, all right, folks, as you can see, we have 3 of the slot pieces. We have 1 with the bigger slot, and we have a bottom piece. So those are the pieces we're going to use to glue this together. We also have the light strip we're going to use, and that will have to be installed after you glue these first 2 together. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to glue this one to this one, and then we are going to put the light strip in. So I will do that and show you how that's done. Again, less is more with glue. I did not clean my glue tip out, so let's do that real quick. Don't need a ton. If it squeezes out, that's okay. You can sand it off, whatever. If you got the clear ones, the clear drying glue, which I do have, I'm just not for some reason using it on this project, and you can do that too. So while I'm here, I'm going to clamp those 2 together with the little Walmart clamps here, hyper tough. I'm standing it up on its edge. Sorry about the camera work today. Standing it up on its edge just to make sure it's good, and we'll do it that way too. It looks like it's pretty close. This glue dries really fast, so we don't need it for a long time, the clamps. But I just want to make sure that it is clamped together. We'll do it right in the middle, so it doesn't move while I'm putting the lights in. Is really the main reason I'm doing this. Because as soon as the lights go in, we will glue the rest of it together, and then we'll have the whole thing clamped. So this is just to get the lights in. So the way you do the lights is get the light strip out. They come unplugged, so there is 4 prongs. These are 4-prong lights. We need this piece to be in there because we don't want this piece to be showing on the outside. And then we need all these lights to be in here. If you can see on these, there are these little copper areas right here. Let me point to it. These little copper areas. Those are safe areas to cut. There's a dotted line in there. You don't want to cut back here or up here or whatever. You want to cut on one of these dotted lines to get your right height or right length here. Again, I want this black piece inside so the customer doesn't see it. There won't be any light on that end too far anyway. So we need to get the closest one. I'm going to pull that in just a little bit more. Closest one. So we're going to cut right. We're going to cut right there, and we should be good to go. These have an adhesive backing. My camera is just not cooperating today as far as where it needs to be, so I apologize for that. It's not the camera, it's me. And if you cut right down the middle, you should be able to use the other side of the strip because you have the copper ends on there. You should be able to solder another wire on, and you can get the wires on eBay pretty cheap. These ones were really cheap on eBay. They were maybe a little too cheap because I do have to do some soldering on these wires because they are loose sometimes on this end, so just be aware of that when you're ordering things like this. All right, so that fits in there pretty good. I made this a 1/2 inch wide, by the way. It just seemed to work for me. We're going to take the strip off. Now on my other clock I did not take the strip off, but because this is going to a customer we need it to be permanent. Or on my other light I should say, not my clock. Of course I didn't take it off on the clock. I didn't make a clock with a light in it. But on this one, because it's going to somebody else, we're going to do that. Now that's in there nice and tight. It's a good adhesive strip. Shouldn't need to glue that in. All right, I'm going to glue the rest of this up, and we will be back to show you the results. All right, so there you go. It is glued up. As you can see, the cord is coming out the end. That's what that looks like. You've got glue on the edges. That can be cleaned up. It's not a big deal. And that's what you look like on the inside. So we're going to plug this in so you can see what the lights look like in there. And again, this is just a little 4-prong thing that goes into the end of that. And on the other end is just a USB, regular standard USB. Now, if you plug this in the wrong way, nothing will happen. Plug it in the right way, it should light up. Sometimes you have to use the remote to get it started. So we're in the wrong way, so we'll just flip that around. All right, we are good. So now we know we're good there. We're going to let that dry. And I did say that I wasn't going to use this piece on top. Guess what? It's on top. Because when I was picking them up, I forgot to put that one down below. But we got this nice and straight. We're going to work on the acrylic piece now when we come back. All right, folks, we are back and we are going to do the acrylic piece now. So we're going to go back over to the Glowforge. And we are going to go to our dashboard because we already have our artwork done. And you can see our artwork is right here. We're making this for our buddy Scott, who is the bearded picker. Now I'm going to show you how I did all this stuff. These are just SVGs. I took this off of a free site somewhere and turned it into an SVG, which there's tutorial videos on how to use Inkscape to turn a JPG into an SVG, and that's what I did. It's real simple. Same with this one. So these two I turned into SVGs. These words were just from up here, and the square was from up here. So I'll show you how I did the words and the square, and then I just imported the rest of this stuff. So again, with the square, I just took a square. I made a square here. I wanted this to be 7 3/4. I wanted it to all be 7 3/4, so the whole thing 7 3/4 square. So I left the little chain link linked instead of unlinked. So 7.75 is 7 3/4. And then that does that. Now for the corners on this one, I didn't want them as round. I wanted them to be, let me see if I can get this up where you guys can see it. I'll move me. There we go. Corners on this one, I wanted to be a little bit softer than the corners on the bottom. So we did 0.25. So again, same concept, same thing. It just, instead of doing it in another program, we did it right here in the Glowforge software, which is nice. You have to have premium to get these features, but that's okay. Okay, so then for that, we just typed in caps, of course, bearded picker, and we kind of just guessed on where the center of this would be. We're going to move over so we can get this. And I just made it larger, and because it don't really have centering in here, I could also export this as an SVG up here with the export button, but I'm not going to do that. So that we have those two things, and then I just went up here and hit upload. Got my picker SVG. It'll come up over here somewhere. We did it like this. And then I went and got the YouTube one, same way, which is way down here. So pretty simple to design one of these things if you're using the premium features in Glowforge. It's also pretty simple in a program like Inkscape if you're aware of how that works. It's taking a little longer than normal. So something like that. Pretty similar. To get these about centered, if I highlight over, if I click on one and then highlight over the other, it gives me that box, so then I know that I'll just kind of keep doing that number until I think it's about the same. Then I'll look over here how far away from the edge, and over here how far away from the edge, and it's a guess game here. You do need to leave some space down here at the bottom because it slots into that thing. So I know other people do these different ways. We're going to get rid of that, but this is the way I do it. You can see we already have our acrylic in there. We're going to put me back over here so I'm out of the way. And we do need to pick medium clear acrylic. If you didn't notice before, that was picked. It is picked because it's already got the settings and I don't have to do anything. If you didn't have the settings, you could still do set focus and all that. So to pick medium clear acrylic, you just go over here and click on this. It'll say unspecified or uncertified or something. And then you can click on that, or there's other medium blue acrylic, there's other acrylics. I'm using clear, so we'll just pick clear. That'll automatically give you your settings, although you can change them. They gave me SD graphic on all these. I want a draft graphic because I've used it before and I like it. Okay, one last thing we need to do is flip it. And why am I flipping it since it's on a clear piece? Because I want the piece that people are actually going to look at, the front side, to be smooth. And I want the engraving on the back side. You can do it the other way. I think the light shines through better this way, so we'll just do it this way. We're going to, one last check. I want to move him over just a skosh. Maybe this one that way a little bit too. That way we got a similar spacing here, and that looks good. I think we are good to go. We are going to hit print. Now you notice this clear acrylic isn't clear. It has a backing on it, so that's why that's there. I wonder what happens if you set focus after you pick your medium clear acrylic. We're going to try it and see what happens. Will it even let us? It's not doing anything. There it goes. I don't know why it was so slow that time. We're going to turn the fan on while we're waiting for that to focus. I just want to see if it changes the settings or something. We're experimenting live here. And plus, I want to make sure my placement is good when I get to my final placement. I don't know if you could hear the fan ramping up. It doesn't seem like it's that loud on the filming of these videos. Okay, didn't change anything. So we're going to drag this down into a corner as far as we can go. Save as much acrylic as we can. That's pretty good. Let's take a look at what the settings are before we go. We are on draft graphic. If we hit this arrow right here, it'll tell us what our settings are. So we're on 1000 speed, full power, 195 lines. And it should be the same for all of these. Yes. And yes. The cut, I didn't change anything here. It's proof grade cut. It'll just do its thing. 170 full power. So, all right, let's do this and hit the print button. We'll see what we got. Pretty cool little process here and a pretty cool result at the end. And I'm going to ship this one off to my buddy and he'll get it and then hopefully display it. If he doesn't want to, that's okay too. He doesn't know he's getting it yet. 32 minutes, 4 seconds on this one. This is because we're on draft graphic. If I change it up to SD graphic, it doubles the time. If I change it up to HD graphic, it goes even a lot more. Draft graphic has worked well for me, so we're going to see if it works well on this one. All right, we're going to switch over to the camera. There's the button. And away we go. Looks like that is done. It's hard to see from here, so we're going to go take a look at it. It looks maybe a hair deep, so we hope not. Just could be the camera angle. We'll see. Okay. Done. There it is. The one thing I already noticed that I'm not sure I'm going to care for is that because I went 195 lines per inch, that is a little liney, but we're going to see what it looks like when we take the plastic off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You guys don't need to see me doing all that. If I leave it on camera, I'll just fast forward it. All right, folks, the moment of truth. Let's peel off the front. And there you go. That is not bad at all, actually. I was concerned about the backside, but now that I look at it from the front, I am quite all right with that. Let's see what it looks like with the light shining through it. So we're all glued up now. We can, should actually be able to turn that off. Got my little thing so it doesn't blind us there. Ooh, that fits nice. I don't know where that came from. It could be a hair tighter, I suppose, but it fits in there pretty good. So we're gonna see what it looks like all the way up. Looks better than my sign, I think. We're gonna go on. That is just, I don't know how to get rid of that. That is just from the computer screen, that on the top there. There you go. That's pretty badass, if I don't say so myself. So this one is going to be shipped off to Scott. Sorry about the camera work again. And I'm proud of it. Let's go through the colors. We've got red. We've got green. Got blue, and I know they're not coming over as colorful as they are here. You got different reds, all the way down to yellow. That's yellow. That's your main green, and then it'll change more of a bluish towards the bottom. And your main blue, and it gets to be almost pink towards the bottom. That's what you got there. And then you have plain white light, which wasn't much different than that. There's plain white. You've got a strobe effect. Actually, that is a flash effect. This is considered strobe. This is fade, which is pretty much like strobe. And then that is smooth. It says smooth, but it doesn't look smooth to me. These two buttons up here change speed. And I think brightness if you have it on just a single color. Okay, not brightness, just speed. On some of these, other brands, that changes brightness as well. So that's it. Pretty good little project there. Looks like we got some glue to clean up on the front. Not 100% dry yet, but it's pretty close. So if you like what you saw, don't forget to hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you think it's going to help somebody else. For my non-Glowforge friends, if you're interested in something like this, hit me up. We'll give you a special YouTube or Facebook deal. We'll do one of these for $30 plus shipping. Shipping shouldn't be too bad on these. We'll go through pirate ship. And as always, if you're interested in a Glowforge, we do have that link down below. Hit it, and it'll save you up to $500 and give us a chunk of change as well. Thanks for watching. You all have a good day.